Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. We're breaking down the exact logistics and the historical narrative of the Israelites crossing the Jordan River, straight from the source text. Now, we are looking at a huge, pivotal moment here, a massive, nation-level migration running right into a completely impassable natural barrier. But you know what makes this account so incredibly fascinating? It's not just the sheer scale of the event. It's the meticulous, step-by-step instructions, the highly structured way it all goes down. We're going to look closely at exactly how this operation was organized, ordered, and executed. Whether you're into ancient history or just the anatomy of large-scale leadership, there's a ton to unpack here, with some really valuable lessons on how to systematically approach massive obstacles.
We'll be tracking this massive event across 4 distinct phases: arrival and preparation, rules of the Ark, promises and prophecies, and finally, the water stands still.
Let's kick things off with Phase 1, arrival and preparation. To really get this crossing, we have to look at how the narrative builds tension through careful, methodical preparation, right? This monumental shift is about to happen, but it doesn't happen instantly. The record says Joshua rose early in the morning, and the entire population moved from Shittim right to the banks of the Jordan River. But, and this is key, they didn't just rush into the water. The text specifically notes they lodged there and waited for 3 full days. Can you imagine the psychological effect of that wait? A whole nation camped on the edge of this obstacle, just staring at the water for 3 days, waiting for the command to move. It's during this crucial window that the officers actually go through the host to deliver their specific marching orders.
And Joshua gives a very specific command here. He tells them to sanctify yourselves. This demands spiritual readiness, and it explicitly sets the stage for the supernatural events promised for the very next day. This wasn't just a physical mobilization, you know? It was framed entirely as a spiritual one. By announcing that tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you, Joshua is putting a strict 24-hour countdown on the whole event. He flips the switch, shifting the atmosphere right out of a waiting game and into an active state of high alert.
Moving right along to Phase 2, rules of the Ark.
What's absolutely fascinating here is the strict, military-like precision required for their march. This crossing wasn't some chaotic stampede, it was a highly organized procession, and it centered entirely around one specific object, the Ark of the Covenant carried by the priests. The officers went through the host and gave a strict command: leave a highly specific space of about 2,000 cubits between yourselves and the Ark. Now 2,000 cubits, that is roughly 3,000 feet, or over half a mile. Think about the pure logistics of enforcing a half-mile gap across a population of that size. The officers were crystal clear. When the priests take up the Ark, you follow it, but you absolutely must maintain this massive buffer zone.
So why the gap? The crucial point is that this exact distance was enforced so the vast crowd could actually see their guide into completely uncharted territory. Think about it. If hundreds of thousands of people crowd around the front, only the first few rows have any idea where they're going. By pushing everyone back 2,000 cubits, the Ark is elevated as a visual beacon for the entire host. As the text explicitly says, they had not passed this way heretofore. They were walking blindly into a brand new land, and this spatial rule ensured every single person could fix their eyes right on their guiding point.
Which brings us to Phase 3, promises and prophecies.
Before the physical crossing even begins, the text pauses. It needs to establish some vital leadership validation and lay out exactly what awaits on the other side. They've got a massive physical obstacle in front of them, sure, but they also have a relatively new leader in Joshua. So this detail is absolutely essential. It bridges the leadership gap, making sure the people know Joshua carries the exact same divine backing as his legendary predecessor Moses part of the Red Sea, right? Now the people need to know Joshua has that same level of authority as they face the Jordan. The text states that the Lord tells Joshua, "This day will I begin to magnify thee in the sight of all Israel." This crossing isn't just about grabbing new territory, it's the ultimate, undeniable validation of Joshua's leadership.
Joshua then boldly calls everyone together and says this imminent crossing is proof that the living God is among them and will handle the massive military campaigns ahead. He meticulously lists the adversaries they're about to face: the Canaanites, Hittites, Hivites, Perizzites, Girgashites, Amorites, and Jebusites. I mean, the sheer scale of the opposition is staggering. They aren't crossing a river to find empty, peaceful land. They're crossing into an intense, multi-nation conflict. This miracle is the psychological armor they desperately need before the battles begin. Oh, and he also gives a specific logistical command here. Take 12 men, one from each tribe of Israel, to stand ready for a task that's going to follow.
And that takes us to our final section, Phase 4, the waters stand still.
Now, all those meticulous logistics and prophecies meet their massive physical obstacle. The people have broken camp. The priests have taken up the ark. That 2,000 cubit distance is locked in. Now they march straight toward the river. And the text drops a really crucial environmental detail right here. It explicitly notes the river wasn't just flowing. It was at its absolute maximum flood stage. It says, "For Jordan overfloweth all his banks all the time of harvest." This is huge for the context. They aren't just splashing across a gentle stream during a summer drought. They are walking straight into a raging, swollen river that has totally burst its banks. The timing of the harvest means these waters are at their absolute most dangerous, uncrossable peak. As those 12 chosen men watch, this exact four-step sequence of supernatural events unfolds the very second the priests carrying the ark touch the brim of the overflowing water. And it's described with incredible geographic precision. Step 1. The soles of the priest's feet simply rest in the brim of the water. Instantly, Step 2 triggers. The waters coming down from above stop completely and rise up in a heap. The text actually specifies this happens very far from the city Adam that is beside Zaratan. Step 3. The waters flowing down toward the sea of the plain, the salt sea, completely fail and are cut off, leaving a bone-dry riverbed. And Step 4. The people pass over, strategically positioned right against Jericho. The priests bearing the ark stood absolutely firm on dry ground right in the middle of the riverbed. Think about that image. They didn't cross first and wait on the other side. They walked into the middle of where those floodwaters should have been and literally anchored the crossing. They just stood there, holding the ark, while hundreds of thousands of Israelites passed right by them on dry ground. The text really emphasizes this absolute completion, stating they stood firm until all the people were passed clean over Jordan. It's this incredible picture of total, unwavering stability in the face of what was, just moments before, an overflowing, chaotic force of nature.
So it really leaves us wondering, exactly how will this dramatic entry and this definitive shift in leadership dictate the epic battles that are about to follow? They've officially left the wilderness behind, crossed an impossible flood on dry ground, and established a fiercely validated new leader. But, like Joshua warned them, 7 formidable nations are waiting on this new side of the river. How is this highly organized, divinely backed host going to deploy these exact same strategies of strict obedience and structure as they move off the banks of the Jordan and face the massive walls of Jericho? It is a truly fascinating setup for the historical campaigns to come, and a powerful blueprint on how strict preparation and clear focus have to proceed navigating the impossible.